As we've covered with so many different analysts, Bill, success is largely dependent on your situation. So which situation do you think puts one of these three quarterbacks in the best possible position to be successful?
Yeah, I think might lean towards the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow. I just look at what they have on that roster. The core of talent around Joe Burrow, I think, is a lot better than people are giving him credit for. Look at the receivers. We have A.J. Green. We have baby A.J. Green and T. Higgins, a guy that got that comp heading into the draft from a lot of people. Then you have John Ross, who was actually pretty good last year when he was healthy enough to play, given the offensive woes around him. And then Tyler Boyd, a super underrated receiver. A lot of talent at wide receiver for him. And then people are forgetting about Jonah Williams, who missed all of his rookie season with an injury. So you get a franchise left tackle back. You have four very valuable, some actually pretty impressive NFL wide receivers with Joe Burrow. It's not always going to be easy. There's going to be growing pains, but I think there's a lot of infrastructure for him to succeed from day one, given what they have on offense.
Well, they followed up the Burrow pick with Higgins there, and I mean, the one thing that I feel certain of is that he's going to be the guy. Like Tua and Herbert, I think, could be on the sidelines, which perhaps benefits them. It feels like Burrow's the one guy that's ready or not. He's the guy from day one, no?
Has to be. And I think, if you're the Dolphins or the Chargers, it kind of makes sense to kind of take a step backwards and not rush those guys in the lineup. Those are teams that could contend with Ryan Fitzpatrick, could contend with Tyrod Taylor. So I don't think you want to rush those guys, but we say this every year. April was sitting here saying, you don't rush them in. And then week 3, if they start 0-2, those guys are going in the lineup because that's how the NFL works.
There are a lot of people that are scratching their head and not real sure about Jordan Love to Green Bay, but they're not as smart as you are about football. You like the situation for him and the fit, because why?
Well, I like the development curve there. I like the people around him to succeed, but I don't think the Packers are as close to winning a Super Bowl as maybe some of their fans think. I know, hey, they made it to the NFC Championship game. They were 13-3 last year. Both those things are true. The problem is, whenever I look at the sort of advanced numbers or kind of the things behind the numbers, try and predict what's going to happen for every team in the NFL next year, the Packers pop up over and over and over again as a team that is likely to decline. They were 8-1 in games decided by 8 points or less. Their defense, which improved dramatically, their starters missed a total of 4 games all season. They played 5 backup quarterbacks, including Matt Moore instead of Patrick Mahomes in their win over the Chiefs. So a team that I don't think is as good as their records seem to indicate. And I think at the end of the day, you're not going to get a guy that is an impact wide receiver at the very bottom of the first round in year 1, which is kind of what, their fans are hoping for. So I think I'd rather sit here and draft Jordan Love, kind of, build our team for the future, and they can still make a trade. They can go out and trade for a Kenny Stills from the Texans or a Dante Pettis from the Niners. Try and get that guy to be a trader you hope can make an impact, as opposed to drafting a guy who, might satisfy the fans, but might not make that much of a difference next year and the year after, which is when you want to win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers.
You got no argument with me that you had to take a receiver in the first round. I'm just saying you could have taken one in one of the rounds. And they in an incredibly loaded year for wide receivers, they chose not to go that route. There was considerable curiosity in Philadelphia as well, given that they've got Carson Wentz, that they go out and get Jalen Hurd. And they don't just get him, they get him early. You like that fit too, because why?
I like it because the Eagles have to be realistic. You can't depend on Carson Wentz to play 16 games and make it to the postseason. They've been into the playoffs now 3 times with Carson Wentz as their quarterback. He's played a total of 1 quarter in those 3 games. I understand. I think he's a great player. I think he's super tough. But until we see it, you can't trust that it's going to happen for 3 or 4 years in a row. So the Eagles have always been an organization, going back to Andy Reid, that puts a lot of value in the backup quarterback spot, whether it's been Kevin Kolb in the second round or Michael Vick via free agency. They want to invest in backup quarterbacks. They don't have the cap space to go out and compete for a Marcus Mariota in free agency. So you have to use a pick kind of high to get someone who might have some value. And in the short term, even if Carson Wentz does stay healthy, which that's great, works out fantastic, but Jalen Hurts can be a guy who, comes in short yardage situations. The Eagles love to use Carson Wentz on sneaks. Well, now you can use Jalen Hurts on those same sneaks. Have him be a passer who comes in for a few snaps a game, take some of the pressure off Carson Wentz, and then if you need him for, a playoff game or a couple games here or there, you have a guy who you can trust as opposed to basically being desperate and trying to send someone off the street as a last-second, solution. I think Carson Wentz is a very talented player, but I think Jalen Hurts can help in the short term and then also in the long term for the Eagles.
Well, Bill, I have no idea when we'll talk again next, and we have no idea what the season will hold, but I know this much. By the time they're playing games, I'll be in the same town as you, and I look forward to having some conversations, hopefully in our new studio in D.C., face-to-face. You know how much we appreciate your time and your insight when it comes to the NFL, and we'll talk to you whenever that time is, all right?
Can't wait, buddy. Looking forward to it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.